Hi muckers and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you're all having the best day ever. Thank you so much for clicking on my video today. I really appreciate you being here and choosing to spend even a little portion of your day with me. I'm very interested for today's video. We are going to be talking about Gabbie Hanna and we have a lot of content to get through. So if you're aware, and I'm not going to get into it too much because I have very openly stated that this certain topic makes me very uncomfortable to do with Gabbie Hanna. And that is that Gabbie Hanna was very clearly having a moment on social media, to put it lightly. And a lot of people were asking me, you know, to do the coverage on it, you know, like showing her in this state and stuff. And I very much so took a step back. And whenever I did make a video, I was kind of talking about it as, you know, kind of topically looking at this on how we act whenever someone's having like a mental health crisis. And that was my way of, you know, feeling comfortable in covering it. And a lot of you, thank you so much by the way, were sending me that Gabbie Hanna had erased the hundreds of videos that she had posted. Like, I mean hundreds of videos that she had posted, and has actually done a couple of videos explaining what had happened. And I'm very interested, and I was going to listen and watch what she has to say anyway, but I thought that this would be a good video to make because it's like hearing from her mouth what happened and where she's at with it. I'm gonna be honest, I haven't watched these yet. I want to watch them. You know, I like doing this for the first time with you. We're gonna get to it. I have no idea what to expect. We have about 8 of these videos to get through. We are going to start with the first one. It is called About Last Night. Now, I have a Red Bull here. I'm gonna be sipping alongside. If you have your beverage, let me know what you're drinking. I'm actually going to the airport in a matter of hours. It is 1 or 2 a.m. or something like that right now, and I'm going to the airport in a few hours, and it's gonna be a long all-nighter, but I'm very excited to be back in Paris. But anyway, let's hear what Gabbie has to say. So here we go.
I want to take a minute to address just a little bit of last week. So yes, I was manic. I am bipolar. Talked about it. You can scroll back. It's no secret. I'm bipolar. But I've never experienced a manic state. I've only ever experienced a hypomanic state. So that was actually a brand new thing for me that I was experiencing in real time with all of you guys. But it didn't start that way. It started with me doing some spoken word poetry and trying to talk about things that I care about, which are homelessness and dying children in the environment, and also talk about the overlap of religion and aliens and mental health and dimensions and all of these different concepts like karma, and how we've politicized them and made them into these weird culty controlling type things, when in reality we're mostly just using different language for the same thing. Where I feel shit started getting really intense was when that guy came to my door. And
so this is Nick, who we have talked about, and I don't know if you've seen, but recently I made a video which was actually one of the first like exclusive bits of news that I've had on my channel in quite some time. But Nick, who broke into Gabbie's house, and he did break in because he entered under false pretenses, so he broke in. And he broke in while Gabbie was in an unstable situation, and he exploited that for his own gain, and is now trying to make a career out of it by his publicist team duo trying to sell the story of him now talking about what he saw at Gabbie's house. So this is who she's talking about, and this is not a safe space for Nick.
Asked me to use my bathroom, and
Nick.
I know that a lot of people were like, why the fuck would you let a stranger in your house? But from where I was sitting, I try to be kind wherever I can. So it was like 9:30 in the morning, and I was on the phone with my friend, and some guy has one earbud in and he's kind of sweaty, and he says I was just on a run. And I was wondering, can I use your bathroom?
So again, this is not the story that Nick is telling. Nick is telling that he actually, you know, went to the house trying to help her and trying to save her, but he didn't, and he's lying. And we have it proof that Gabbie Hanna is not lying right now.
I sized him up and asked him his age. He's 27 years old, and he was wearing pretty tight clothes. I could see that he didn't have any like guns, or didn't see any weapons on him. So my bathroom is right by the front door. So I was like, sure, you can use the bathroom. And then when he came out of the bathroom, I was still on the phone with my friend, and he asked me if I wanted to hang out. And
this is so crazy to me, and I'm not judging the state that Gabbie was in or what led her to make that decision, but I just feel that, like, knocking on your neighbor's door is such a thing of the past. And I don't know if that's because I live in an apartment, but I feel that whenever I lived in, like, you know, those, like, houses, like, I don't know how to describe it, you know, like where, like, my family home was, we had, like, a lot of neighbors. Is it semi-detached? Like, whatever the situation, right? Even back then, I feel that it was getting phased out, knocking on people's doors, and, you know, that neighborly bond. And maybe it's still there in a lot of places, but I just think we're a lot more protective of ourselves these days. And knocking on someone's door and using to go to the bathroom, like, I feel like that is such a thing of the past. So whenever I heard this immediately, I was like, wow, do, like, people still, in theory, knock on, like, strangers' door and be like, can I go to the bathroom? Like, speaking here about the situation of a neighbor asking a neighbor. So this Nick situation was a neighbor asking another neighbor to use the bathroom. I'm not talking about just like a random person asking to use the bathroom. Obviously it's very situational, but I'm just talking about like that neighborly. I would never knock on my neighbor's door and be like, can I use your bathroom? And again, it is very situational. I'm strictly talking here about like neighbors that, you know, I just think it's like such a thing of the past. No? Does anyone else agree? I mean, if anyone lives in like semi-detached or detached or even like apartments, like let me know if y'all still do that. Like, talk to your neighbors. I really don't talk to my neighbors. Well, I mean, they don't talk to me. I'm reciprocating the energy, but I don't know. I feel like I haven't had a neighborly, like, situation since I was, like, a child.
Did that. I couldn't because I had plans for the day. And he said, what are you doing? And I said, well, first I'm going to go for a run. And he asked if he could go for a run with me. And I said, well, I really prefer that to be my alone time. That's where I really meditate and think and pray. And then he asked if he could pray with me. And my friend was still on the phone. I asked him if he wanted some coffee. So I got his prints. I got his DNA. I had him say his full name on the phone. I really felt like I was protecting myself just in case this 27-year-old scrawny-ass guy was going to try something. He knew that I had his prints and his DNA, and also...
Does she just have a finger scanner in her house? The fuck?
Witness to his name and the fact that he was there. So as he kept pushing to him,
he was also live streaming the entire thing.
That I wasn't interested. I asked him basically, you know, do you have any friends? Like, are you okay? Because he was like shaking, and now I know why. It's because he was doing something incredibly disgusting and manipulative, and he was nervous about it. But he told me he didn't have any friends and he was feeling really alone, and I'll explain more in part 2.
So he's already like using the story of what people thought Gabbie was going through, which is like people were saying that they thought that Gabbie had no friends and that Gabbie was all alone. So he went to her with that same story. How manipulative is that?
So then I put his name and his face on the internet. So I'm like, there's no way this guy could be that dumb to do something. Like, I feel pretty protected. Again, it's 9:30 in the fucking morning. Like, there's people in and around my house. Like, I had the windows open. Like, what? I didn't think that he was going to, like, murder me or, like, hurt me or something like that. But then he followed me upstairs after I very specifically told him to stay downstairs. And that's when I was like, okay, this kid is pushing a boundary. This isn't safe. So then I filmed him again, and I just kept putting him on the internet to remind him that there are people watching him. And to
this is so weird. This is so weird.
Do anything stupid. So then I get a text from a bunch of friends, actually, and they're like, hey, I don't know who the fuck you think that guy is in your house, but get him the fuck out because he's posting in your house.
He's posting everything.
Like, okay, let me get this kid the fuck out of my house. And that's where you saw me scream, get the fuck out of my house. And then he left. So after I kicked him out of my house, I was like pretty shaken and like hurt, to be honest, because like this city is so fucking evil, like straight up. And like, no matter like what happens to me, like I still fight so hard to just like try to do the right thing and the kind thing, because I don't want to be one of those people who turns people away in their moment of need. Like, if you're out walking and like you're like, fuck, I have to use the bathroom. Like, this guy literally said to me, like, yeah, I almost went on the street, but like there's kids that play out here and that's pretty gross. And there's literally a sign down where I go for a run sometimes where somebody literally wrote like, kids play here, please don't pee here, literally. So I'm like, yo, this guy literally just wants to see.
What a very bizarre sign. Like, I agree with what it's saying, but I've never seen a sign before that's like, kids are playing here, don't piss here. It's a new one.
room. I don't want to be the person who slams the door in a stranger's face when they're asking for like a bare minimum need. Like this guy didn't want to whip out his dick in public and pee where kids play. I thought that was like a pretty respectable thing. Now we all know that that is not the case. But after I kicked him out, I was like really shaken, like I was upset. I just put on some music, I went in my room. Sorry, I'm trying not to get emotional about this, but it is upsetting. So I was just like pacing around in my room and like trying to calm myself down. And then I hear banging at my door and I thought it was him. So I just set my alarms on my phone, and then I hear banging and banging and banging, and then I got my glass break alarm that went off on my phone, and then I got the critical alarm that went on my phone, which means somebody has now broken and entered into my house. And then I heard this loud bang downstairs, which I thought sounded like a gunshot, but I didn't know. But either way, there was a loud bang. My worst case scenario that just happened is that kid broke back into my house. My private armed patrol came, found him, and shot him. So I was just sitting in my room like hyperventilating, and then I hear people calling my name at the bottom of the stairs, like Gabrielle, Gabrielle. Part 3 coming.
I don't even know what to say. I literally do not even know what to say. I feel like I need to hear more to be able to like form an opinion on this.
So I asked them, who is it? And they said, it's the police. So I come down, like I don't know if they're lying or not, because I don't know if whoever just fucking broke into my house is lying about being the police, but I just had faith that it was, because what else do you do? So I come down the stairs, I see 4 of the 5 officers standing right at the bottom, and I was like, what's going on? And they're like, we're just here for you, we're just here for your safety. At this point, I still don't know what's going on. I don't know if I'm gonna walk in on a dead body. I don't know like if this kid was on the run. Like I literally have no fucking idea what's going on, or how there's all of a sudden.
It's also a very valid point that like, not only does she not know the intentions of, it's not a kid, of this like 27-year-old guy, like not only does she not know the intentions, but he could also be a criminal that was on the list. He could also be the criminal that had just done something really bad, and you know what I mean?
All these cops in my house, what felt like moments after this kid left. Like I actually don't know the exact time. I know he got here around 9:30. They got here between 10 and 10:30. I don't really know how long he was in my house, but they asked me to turn around on the stairs, and then they cuffed me. And I said, why am I being put in cuffs? And they just kept saying, it's for your own safety, it's for your own safety. So then they had me sit down in this chair, and I'm like, what's going on? And they're still not answering me. They said that they're still just trying to do this for my safety. So then I'm like, oh my God, was this kid actually like a murderer or a rapist on the run? That would make total sense. That maybe this kid came in because he was hiding from something. Like they literally wouldn't tell me anything. So my mind is just filling in all these blanks. So I said, oh wait, oh my God, I think I know why you're here. Like, what happened? Like, is that guy? And then they're just like, what are you talking about? So then I found out they have no fucking idea who this guy even is, and they're here on something completely unrelated. So now I'm just like, what are the fucking odds that these two things would happen so closely together? So they just keep reminding me, we're here for your safety. I just have to ask you again and again and again. They kept asking me, do you want to hurt yourself? Do you want to hurt anybody else? And I said, no. And they said, well, why do we keep getting calls? And I said, I tell you guys every time you come, it's just trolls. But like, they have no internal communication.
Okay, there's definitely like a boundary with social media, like parasocial, and I definitely think that a lot of people very much so like having more power than what they should have, which is like the internet over speaking their boundaries and stuff. But I don't know if I necessarily agree with Gabbie saying that people who had alerted the police about her were trolls. I would say it was actually the complete opposite of people who were coming together to make sure that she was safe and alive, a lot of those being her own fans. So I wouldn't say that that was trolls, but again, that's a conversation of like, how much should the online world be involved if it's a parasocial relationship, you know what I mean? Because Gabbie could be faking this entire thing, and then it's like, you're calling the police on that. Or she could be in a really bad state and you call the police, and you know, there's so many different options here, and it's kind of like, I feel like we had this conversation about Eugenia Cooney once, where, you know, people were saying they want to call the cops on her, 5150 her, and I mean, that's the exact same thing that happened here. One thing I will say is I didn't know the police could just enter your house and like cuff you. I didn't, that's terrifying. I didn't know they could do that.
That's the problem. Is like, I believe that...
Don't they not need like a warrant to like come in? Or is that just like look around your shit?
A lot of the cops that show up have good intentions. They're just doing their job, but they don't communicate with each other. So now I'm the target of the police getting angry that calls are coming in about it. I just got another call yesterday when I was leaving the gym for another wellness check. And I'm like, can you guys, I told the lady on the phone, I was just detained for 2 hours in my home, and then 2 more detectives showed up and 2 more police showed up, and then another cop showed up. Like, do you guys have any internal communication, or am I just going to be harassed for the rest of my life on these wellness checks? Because I'll tell you what, the cops for the past month are what triggered me into my very first fucking manic episode.
Oof, it's a big statement. It's a big statement.
I think an important piece of this story too that I should acknowledge is that I was high as fuck, and I'm an adult, I'm in California, it's legal, I only smoke weed, I'm not on any prescriptions outside of my acne medication, I've been prescribed for my ADHD in the past, I tried it last summer, I decided it's not for me, but weed for me is more of a shroom trip, which is why I don't fuck with shrooms. I don't try LSD. I've never tried DMT because my weed experience is very hallucinogenic and also very spiritual, which is fine if you're just chilling in nature or my pool or my jacuzzi or on a walk in my neighborhood or trying to meditate or creating or painting. Weed's great, right? When you're being constantly hounded by police and now you're also triggering.
Yeah, I can't imagine that, being high as tits and the police show up.
All these trauma responses because I do have CPTSD, and y'all, I've been through some shit. I have had a knife pulled on me and my 2nd grade teacher came out and saved me, Mr. Gun. What? I have stood between a gun and children. That's a real story. That's not something that I made up. I was a victim of childhood abuse as an adult. I was a victim of domestic violence. I'm a rape survivor. I've been through some fucking shit. I smoke some weed and I process it. But when there's people with guns and people lying to you, saying they need to use your bathroom and secretly filming you, and like the tabloid shit that I've been through the years, and just like rumors and lies and like death threats and getting 8-page handwritten scathing letters to my fucking door and like emails of people saying they're gonna dig up my grandmother's body and skull fuck her, saying my little sister's a dirty little slut and they're gonna rape her, saying that they know when I'm gonna be where, and like literally some of the threats I've gotten, like I've looked up the people and they're literally convicted fucking like dangerous people. Like it's scary. And before, I've been paranoid. I've definitely been paranoid, but
this is a lot. This is a lot.
Paranoid,
it's not where I was expecting this to go,
but
I'm gonna be honest.
There just gets a point where like your reality and your time starts bending and it feels like nobody's listening to you, and it does feel like everybody's attacking you because a lot of people are. So yeah, some shit happened in my brain that now like I'm sad and I'm hurt and I'm embarrassed, but like it happened and now there's nothing to do but just like move on from it. And I do want to say that 3 of the 5 officers were like really kind and helpful, and I think a lot of it is just like they're not trained to do this, and police should not be called if somebody is in like a mental health crisis, because I wasn't in a mental health crisis until I was like being bullied by people with guns about a mental health crisis.
Oof, my God. I really do want to know your opinion on the conversation about boundaries and how much control you think the audience should have. Do you think that her audience on YouTube should be able to call the police and, you know, they showed at her house and do that? I really want to know.
Now that I've acknowledged that, yes, internet, you were right. I was manic. And I didn't know it at the time, as most people in a hypomanic or manic state don't recognize it until they're out of it. And personally, I've never experienced anything mentally like I was experiencing. And I do plan on writing down in detail exactly what I was experiencing, because it was not what the rest of the world was experiencing. And that being said, I also am not going to invalidate my own spiritual experiences because I do still believe in the divine. I've always on my platform talked about being psychic and made a lot of videos about my ghost stories, and that stuff is still real to me. I am a psychic medium. You either believe in mediums and ghosts or you don't. So that part's not going away. And I am gonna stop smoking weed because while it used to be a shroom trip to me,
I'm pretty sure she's uploaded many videos from this smoking weed. Maybe I'm misinterpreting that, but okay.
It now appears to be some type of DMT trip, and it's just too intense.
Girl, check the strain. Check the strain.
For me, so I guess I'm just like a fucking sober little duck now because I don't drink either because it makes me sick. And now that I'm experiencing manic states, I will be going back to therapy because I learned how to cope with and deal with hypomania.
I mean, good for her if she's recognizing how weed is making her react. The same way someone will, you know, think of how alcohol reacts with them or something like that, and then being like, I want to take that off. And unfortunately, maybe it took the past couple of weeks for her to see that. And again, it's not a nice thing to have like a mental health wake-up call or anything like that, but sometimes it is needed. Again, the only person who will know if it was needed was Gabbie, but the way she's speaking about like not, you know, engaging in like substances anymore, like, I don't know, it kind of sounds like she's made a lot of progress since it happening. And I mean, of course you would if you're going through something that traumatizing.
Mania, I need to make sure that I'm talking to the right people. I'm currently
not the police.
Looking for a therapist who is also spiritual and won't invalidate my spirituality or my beliefs, because I still believe in everything that I said I believed in. I believe in God and angels and aliens because I believe in science and history, and it's what's told through us through our oldest history books written by people who lived in an entirely different world, who spoke a language that we don't know and that we translated. And I respect my elders, and I respect the history of the world, and I respect that we don't know everything and we don't understand everything. And frankly, I think that human beings have devolved. I think that we were meant to be what we used to be. Maybe we were meant to stay fucking apes, because apes are straight up living in nature. They can literally wreck a human being if they want, and they don't, because they're fucking peaceful until you fuck with them. They just hang out and have sex and masturbate and eat and hang with their babies and hang out in the fucking river. Like, apes have it good.
Going a little bit off track here.
The monsters, and we're weak as shit. We had to build guns. You know what I mean? And I believe that we did have a lot more,
I understand the sentiment, but it's just so very weird,
like, intuition and connection with the spiritual world, but technology took over. I have my own beliefs about philosophy and time and history and who we are as humans, and I will never stop being an individual who thinks freely. Okay. That being said, I'm also mentally ill. They're not mutually exclusive. I believe, especially now with these experiences, I have a lot to offer the world, and I have a lot of knowledge and insight that I can share.
All right, okay, and we are coming to a close right now. We only have 2 more, so let's hear the closing statement.
I love to see silver linings, and the silver lining to this is I feel like I can now serve as a precedent or a spokesperson for mental health, which I've always tried to do, and now I feel like I get to really do. You get what you ask for. And I feel like we're in this fucking simulation where everybody pretends now like mental health matters, destigmatize mental health, and if people are going through a mental health issue, still let's attack them and make fun of them, and maybe a decade later we'll free them.
And she's written on, I'm talking about Britney Spears, basically. I mean, pretty good analysis.
And as far as mania or hypomania goes, just because somebody's manic doesn't mean they're dangerous to themselves or anybody else. Just because somebody's saying things in a way that you don't like, or that you don't understand, or that you don't agree with, or you find offensive in some way, does not mean that they're dangerous, and does not mean that you should be calling the police and putting...
Okay, so this is her talking about the parasocial, like, you're overstepping your boundary as an audience member.
Their life in danger.
But again, it was mainly her fans thinking, is she still alive? Like, as almost dramatic that sounds, that was exactly what it was, where a lot of us were trying to figure out if she was still alive.
And wasting the resources. If I wasn't actually like a sane person and had a good head on my shoulders and had my fucking chakras balanced, and
I mean, good for her, and I'm glad that she's saying this, so we'll know moving forward, but I don't think many of us thought any of what she just said about her whenever she was going through it the past few weeks, and it was just kind of concerning.
Practice yoga and eat healthy and really fucking check in with myself and journal. If I had seen those cops and tried to run, if I would have tried to attack them, if I would have freaked out and screamed hysterically or kicked my feet around or like caused chaos, like I could have been really hurt, or I could have been taken to a mental hospital, and I wasn't, because even though I was in a manic episode, that doesn't mean that I'm need to be locked away and need like treatment or adult supervision 24/7 or to be shot with medication. Like, no, just let me live in my fucking little nest that I built. Like, I'm a pretty solitary person. Like, I spend a lot of time alone. I spend a lot of time with agoraphobia and really severe anxiety. I do have OCD, ADHD, CPTSD. A doctor once told me that I'm likely autistic, but I didn't pursue an official diagnosis because if you're autistic in America, you can't adopt a baby. Like, there's...
What? Is that true? Is that true? Can autistic people adopt a baby in the United States? What? Yes, you can. Girl.
Many things that are wrong with our systems. It's insane. Like, it's so hard to adopt a baby in general. And if you're autistic, which there's so many varying degrees of autism, and so many people with autism may be better equipped parents than people who are deemed mentally normal or typical. It's just all fucked. And I spent a lot of time thinking about this shit, but I'm not a danger to myself or anybody else. But I do appreciate anybody's concern if you called out of concern, but please don't do that. Thank you. I love you.
Okay, well, I appreciate her setting the boundary and, you know, addressing there that were a lot of people that were calling out of concern, and I would actually argue that it was probably 95% of people that called were out of concern. Again, I don't know, I'm just making that figure up. But I don't really think that there was people trolling trying to like get her like locked up or anything like that. It was just people like genuinely, even people that really do not like Gabbie Hanna, being like, we haven't heard from her in like 24 hours after she just posted like 400 videos, like very clearly not in a good headspace. Like, is she okay? So at least she's acknowledging that.
Okay, so if you don't know,
and setting the boundary to not do it again.
7, so I think this is going to be the last one, but I did want to address why I deleted them all, or most of the videos. The first reason is just that there were so fucking many of them. I feel like that's why a lot of people were calling me manic in the first place, which was actually really triggering and probably took me out of a hypomanic episode and into a manic episode. I feel like I get so defensive so quickly because of just like the constant fucking mental abuse and harassment I get online. I'm like very quick to fucking build my walls up. It doesn't take a lot of time to post a TikTok. It takes anywhere between 3 seconds and 3 minutes, and yeah. They just changed so much in content and context. Like, when I went back to the beginning and I was watching it, it was just spoken word poetry about homeless children and homelessness and religion and aliens and witches and numbers and the Matrix and the simulation theory. And yeah, I screamed in that video, the help me video, because I am trying to get attention on it. But just because I'm responding to a poem with passion and emotion and performing, that was performance. Help me, help me, help me, help us. That was performance. But then when it turns into people...
Well, I think that was the problem, which people were not able to tell what was performance and what wasn't. And I mean, there we have Gabbie Hanna saying that you know, there was parts of it that were performance.
Calling the police because they're not listening to what I'm saying in context. They're just looking into the drama of it, and now it's like a whole different fucking thing. It did spiral into something else. So when I look back at those videos, I'm like, this is actually sad. A lot of them are sad. A lot of them to me are funny, and a lot of them to me are still incredibly clever and artistic in ways that I don't believe that people give me the credit to, give me the time to look into.
Okay, no comment.
The spelling and the grammar and the punctuation, and realize that I am actually doing something really intentional. And that's fine. That's fine.
I think, again, using words like performance, intentional, that's when it starts getting really messy and people start accusing her of putting on a performance and being intentional, which kind of then starts the like feud between people who are supporting her and people who think that she's trolling. That's when it gets messy.
And most importantly, I just didn't represent myself or my points well in certain places. And I'm not afraid to offend people. I think
it's clear to tell that
offends people. Like Lady Gaga showed up on the red carpet in a fucking meat dress. That pissed people the fuck off. It was offensive to a lot of different people, right? That's art. You want people to talk. Warhol was highly controversial. Da Vinci in his time was controversial. Van Gogh never sold a painting, cut off his fucking ear. Everybody thought he was crazy. Poe died a poor fucking alcoholic. I'm okay with that. What I'm not okay with is when I didn't do myself or others justice in taking the proper time to adequately express my point, because my heart is pure and I love all people. And sometimes in trying to prove a point or do any type of irony or satire, or
again, words like irony and satire really don't help the like trolling argument that people are making against her.
Trying to highlight an issue, it just misses the mark. And I missed the mark a couple times, but I'll fix it when the time is right.
Well, I mean, there were like 400 videos. I think there were a lot of times you were missing the mark, if we're being honest. Okay, this is the final one, and it's literally 20 seconds.
I know I said the last one was the last one, but this is the last one. Because I never cause drama or fake anything to promote a project. And people are always like, every time she has a project coming out, I always have a project coming out. And I'm always mentally ill.
That was a lot of Gabbie Hanna that I just watched. That was a lot of Gabbie Hanna. My goodness gracious me. Muckers, let me know your opinion of all of that. I think I don't have any further comments than like what I said whenever I would stop and like articulate and like focus on different things. But I really want to know where you're at with this. I would love to talk to you about it. Please let me know down below. I appreciate you watching. Thank you for being here, and I will see you in my next one. Yeah, let's talk about it down below. Okay, I love you, bye. Mwah!